Hello and welcome everyone to Women's Speakers Association, WSATV. I'm Laura Rubenstein, your host and producer and digital media marketing strategist, author of Social Media Myths Busted, the Small Business Guide to Online Revenue. We have a fantastic show today. It's all about how to expand your reach and impact lives. So if you have a message, if you're ready to make a difference, our expert today is going to give insight on how she's done it and how you can continue to do it and do it even better. So let's go say hi. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So hello, Miss Vicky.
Hello, Miss Laura. Thank you so much. I am Vicky L. Jones, and I am the founder and executive director of Bihari Sisters, Inc. I'm in beautiful Baltimore, home of the Ravens, the O's, steam crabs, all that good thing, the city of neighborhoods, as we like to call it. So you can find me on biharisisters.org and also rapturesdesigns.biz, and that gives information about my theater history, and Bihari gives information about what I do and what my organization does to empower women in Nairobi, Kenya.
Great. And so, given that you have this international reach, I thought it would be great to learn more and what advice you would have for people who want to get out there and really expand their reach and impact lives. And by the way, if anybody is here live with us and you want to ask a question, feel free to put it in the comment box. If you love what we're talking about, like and heart, and we'll definitely enjoy and get inspired and motivated by the interaction. So what advice do you have for people who want to expand their reach and impact thousands?
I like to say ride your ripples. And what that means is I believe just like everybody has their own individual fingerprint, everybody has their ripple and their ripple effect and what they can do in the world. And I think it's specific to people. So I like to encourage people, especially those who are thinking about doing outreach, who think that maybe they don't have the know-how, the experience. I like to encourage people to step out and put your foot in the pool and start that ripple, because I believe that the ripples take you where you ought to be in the world of outreach, whether it be local or global.
And where should they start to do that, to put their ripple in?
I think you start at home. I think that you start with something that you know. I know people who have retired and they're coming out of the world of business or finance, and they want to volunteer, they want to do something, but they say, well, I worked in banking, what do I know? Well, I give them an example. I'm on the board of directors of Glenwood Life Counseling, which is a methadone recovery center. We just had a meeting, and there are clients there that need to learn how to open a bank account. They don't know how to handle their money. That's where somebody with that kind of experience can go in their own community and help. And that kind of ripple leads to other things.
Wow. Start from where you're at and use your expertise. I love that.
Yes.
So let's talk about you and how you've done this. I know you're passionate about your work. Tell us who you work with and what you do with them.
Well, to talk about my ripples, my original background is I'm a designer. I worked in New York theater for many, many years as a costume designer. I came back to Baltimore and I was interested in adult literacy. I took a course in literacy. I began tutoring. I then started to work for local theater companies doing costuming. Then something welled up in me about homeless. All those things started to come together. And in 2006, when I had the opportunity to go to Africa, my first trip, on a missions trip, I went, and there's all the cliches that your life changes, you're never the same. And I met people. I feel like I stepped out into that ocean, and Bihari means ocean in Swahili. So that's our connection to the women. And I felt like I made my first ripple going, meeting the women, seeing what their needs were. And when I went back about 2 years later and saw that the women were in the same state nothing in their life had changed. When we go, we often, as missionaries, as outreach workers, we often go and give bags, give food, give things that will meet a need, an immediate need. But my question to myself was, is there something that I can do that would be sustaining? And so that was the ripple. The ripple was from going and giving a gift bag to coming back and thinking, how can that wave get bigger? How can I do something for these women? And by that time, the women, I had been in contact with them over those years, and they were now friends. So when their children weren't in school, I knew about it. And when they didn't have food on the table, I knew about it. And I knew that I could not sustain 20, 30, however many women. So that's how Bihari came out of that small ripple.
That's incredible. And so from that time on, you've been doing what? What does Bihari do? And what is your involvement?
What we did, we continue to travel and to do outreach on every year or every other year, learning what the women need, sitting down with them. And I began to see, I'm touching jewelry now that the women made. I realized that I was meeting women who, for lack of funding or support, were gifted and talented. Women who were craftsmen making jewelry, making handbags. Women, I speak one language. These women speak on average 3. They speak English, Swahili, and they speak a dialect. But these were women who had not gone through the what we would call elementary school. Very few had gone through high school, and none had gone through college. So I saw that there was an opportunity to just come along beside them, to reach out, come along beside them and support them in the way that we could do, which is financially, which is to help them to learn to think in a business-minded way. And that's what we began to do. So we targeted first initially the economic development, because the women could be able to get seed businesses and start businesses. Then we branched out into scholarships. So Bihari provides scholarships. Most recently, in the last 2 years, we've been supporting the new Twandele, which is a new group of women that we support. And what they do is go into Katina, which is a slum. There are several slums in Nairobi and around Nairobi that are miles and miles long. There is raw sewage. There is no running water. There's no electricity. People are living in shacks or tin houses, whatever. And we have a group of women that we now support. Well, then there are men in this group, but we now support them because they go into these areas and they clean up their community. They're cleaning up raw sewage and waste. And they have been doing it without benefit of any gloves, any kind of protective garments or anything like that. So that's another project that we support. Our major campaign is to erect a Happy Hut. And a Happy Hut is a water filtration kiosk. It can provide up to 1,000 gallons of clean water a day for a community where there's no running water. And it's also enclosed in a facility that's room enough for women to go in there and set up a shop and sell their wares. And we've seen it up and running in other parts of Nairobi. So we're looking now for a place to put down the first Bihari Happy Hut. And we are raising money, and I have just had a conversation with a major health organization here in Baltimore City that hopefully will come along and partner with us about that. So we're really excited about that. It's been, a struggle, as with any new nonprofit. Our board continues to grow, though. We had our second very, very successful fundraiser in October, and we're now planning our third one. So we're excited that we have partners who are coming along beside us, and we're really seeing that children are in school and that women are able to feed their families.
And that is because of the work of the Bihari sisters.
Yes, yes.
How wonderful. So when you started, did you have an idea of all you could be doing here?
No, because actually it's funny. When I first thought, I said, God, what can I do? My first thought was, well, if I rented an apartment there, I could have one of the women who I now had come to know and trust live in the apartment, and we could have the apartment stocked with food and extra money and maybe some meds. And if any woman was in crisis, she could go to the apartment. And I was like, okay, well, Vicky, I don't think you can do that on your salary. So the next level was to go ahead and form the nonprofit. And I have another nonprofit, which is a theater company. And so that's inactive right now. I am writing a script that will be workshopped in the end of the year. But because I had gone through the process of doing a nonprofit, I was like, it wasn't as daunting. It was for anybody who's out there thinking about doing nonprofits and doing in foreign work. There are some other things that you have to consider. And the IRS, I did have a phone call and a conversation, a long conversation with an agent from the IRS who had gone on our website. And it was very interesting because, you can go on and check your website and see how long people are on certain pages. He'd been on there like over an hour, quite a long time, on specific pages. And he wanted to make sure that, where the money was going and there was no money laundering and did I know people and all that, but it was quite interesting. But the paperwork went through without a hitch. And so, it's something that I didn't imagine that this would be the way that it would be done. But I'm very glad that we have the nonprofit because it does allow us to seek out partners and to grow in our funding sources.
Well, it's certainly inspiring, and here at Women Speakers Association, we have so many women leaders like yourself, and you are just paving the way for people to feel like, oh, I can really have the outreach and impact I want globally, even locally. One way is through a nonprofit, which you've done. You've learned quite a bit, and you are now helping women around the world. And, we are changing the world one woman's message at a time. So thank you for being that messenger of healing and hope and thriving for women. Yeah, it's really incredible. So, here, I always love to ask our Women Speakers Association Premier members, what do you love about Women Speakers Association so far, and what or why did you even join?
I joined WSA because I wanted to, for myself, this is a new phase of my career. I've done the theater, I've done corporate, I've done nonprofit, and now I want to share what I've learned. And so when I learned about WSA, I felt that this was an organization that would help me to grow and help me to reach out. I was the president, I was a vice president and then the president of Zonta, which is an international women's organization. If there are any Zontians out there, hello. I had always, when I joined Zonta, my goal was always to work in the international area of Zonta, and I never did that. But what I learned from Zonta, I am now doing. So, I'm hoping to make connections with women around the world. I would love to know if there are women who have done what I've done. One of the things that as a designer, how I bring that into Bihari is that some of the designs of the jewelry and the handbags don't quite translate to the American or European audience. So I've been working with the women on new designs, and I would like to know, and that's why I call myself a social entrepreneur, because I feel like I'm trying to get the women to that real next level of economic sustainability. So I'd love to know if there are any women around the world who have done that kind of model, who have gone from just outreach to, that real kind of capital kind of thing. So that's why I joined the organization. I just did want to say something that I want to say to outreach folk who are not looking to do overseas, foreign, because, everybody, that's not everybody's lane. And what I like to say is everybody has their passport. So my passport is the passport that gets me on the plane that takes me there. There's some people that your passport might be your bus pass. Your person might be down the street on the corner that needs a cup of soup. You don't know. Your passport might be your driver's license. Your lady, your person might be in the hills of Appalachia. You may need to get in your car and drive to where your people are. So I just want to say, that it's not wherever your ripple takes you, it can take you closer, it can take you far.
Beautiful. Well said. I encourage everyone to start creating ripples where you're at, just like Vicky said. I love your wisdom and advice. And we definitely have other women here at Women Speakers Association who have brought their ripples to the world in Africa with other women, with other organizations. So yes, Vicky, they're here. And yes, women who are watching today, we can connect you up. We can hook you up.
That's great.
In fact, just go to joinwsa.com and we have a free level of membership waiting for you. So you can test the waters, but if you really want to get the visibility you want, you'll definitely check out the upgrade to the premium like Vicky and I are here. And we will be back with another episode of WSATV next week. Thank you so much for being here, Vicky. We will see you in the Facebook group and online everywhere and with the Bihari sisters.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.